Okay. The channel is live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Adventure on So Many Levels. And my eyes are jumping around because I'm actually also updating the episode title as we speak. Yeah.
Live from the annals of fantasy.
Yes. I'm Christiana Ellis, and I'm the Dungeon Master. I didn't say the thing about we're going to play Dungeons and Dragons.
Woohoo!
Woo!
Wait, I thought this was Dungeons and Diplomacy.
Oh, well, not recently.
Oh,
Um,
okay, good. Well,
I'm Christiana Ellis, and I am the Dungeon Master. And our players tonight in the wrong windows, we were sitting here, and I was talking about how it seemed like we were ready early. And that always makes me feel like I've forgotten something. And now that we've actually started it, I realize I've actually forgotten a great many things because
See, on
everyone's
the
in the
bright
wrong
side, you were
spots.
right.
Yes, it's give me some peace. Let's see. Get everybody in the right spots. Let's see. Um, oh boy, this is exciting. I hope everybody loves this part where I'm just trying to get everyone's little thumbnails in the right
It's
labels.
subtly designed to keep you in
Look, I did it.
suspense.
dun dun
Yes.
dun.
So, our players tonight: Kilfoyle as Nedry slash Vertigo slash Nedrigo.
What really are names anyway?
A question for the ages. Paul Fisher as Zinhorn Windborn.
Good evening.
Starla Hodgson as Carolina Swift.
Hello, friends.
And Jenny Meltzer as Zaleen.
I'm going down in history books as like Saline Kaiju. That's going to be my new surname.
Fitting. So, as it happens, when we last left our heroes, they got real big. You had placed yourself in the coastal city of Emersham, preparing to attempt your best efforts to protect it from the Destroyer Colossus, a terrifying enemy from beyond the cosmos, which had assembled for itself an enormous suit of construct armor towering above the city streets. You set yourselves the task of trying to defend the city from it, to destroy it, to take back the parts of this cosmic machine that it had stolen from you that you need for other purposes. But in the process of fighting this thing, it was looking real bad until Zaleen reached out to her divine mistress, the mistress of the dark, and prayed for divine intervention, which was granted. And just like Tom Hanks in that movie, what she wanted was for everybody to be big. And so our heroes were enlarged to kaiju size so that they could fight this enormous robot. And they did so. And they were successful with a little help from their friends. They defeated the Destroyer Colossus. And we now return to our adventure already in progress with our heroes still looming hundreds of feet tall above the the tallest buildings in town barely come up to your waist, except for Nedry, who's short by comparison. But you have also now managed to retrieve, at least in principle, the rest of this machine that the cosmic entity Kosh wanted you to build. So right now, where we left it is that your spiritual hammers were like sort of holding it aloft in place. And so now, pocket protectors, supersized. What would you like to do?
Well, my hammers went together
Mhm.
and the only thing keeping them apart are the pieces of the machine that Kosh wants us to build.
Mhm.
And so I am pulling my hammers back toward me
Mhm.
because I have a feeling that the Siphoner Queen might try and take them.
Hmm. So, as you may or may not recall the specifics, as promised, she did send her lieutenants to assist with this fight, and they did, and then they left. But it is certain,
Oh,
I
I
think,
missed
in
the
all of
part
your
where they
mind,
left.
they did. They basically they did their part and said, "As promised," and then disappeared.
Oh,
Um, but it is certain, I think, in all of your minds that that is not the last you've seen of them. So certainly appropriate to try to get this thing under control. At your current size, this machine, which you think would be significant compared to a normal sized person, is now maybe perhaps it could fit in the palm of your hand. But that's the question. Do you just bring it to your hand and just take it into your hand?
I do.
Okay. Make a wisdom saving throw.
I'm reasonably good at those.
Mm-hmm.
All right. 24.
So, when you touch it, first of all, you can see as you're holding it now that the parts, other than that last piece that you had achieved separately, have apparently been assembled in, missing only the one piece. And you may also recall that when you previously had multiple pieces and you even brought them kind of close to each other, they seemed to start like vibrating with energy and potential. And so now, even incomplete, this thing, as soon as you touch it, the world around you seems to sort of distort as though you're looking in a funhouse mirror. You're hit with this wave of vertigo, and I think that you are able to remain standing, but there's a moment there where you think you're about to just do a face plant right over the Seaport District. And you are able to pull yourself together and resist this. But I think that there is a reflection that this thing has not just a large amount of power, but an alien power that you don't fully understand or comprehend. And it had this effect on you, even incomplete.
Wow. Oh boy. Um. Uh. Whoa. Nedry. Um. Ladies, do we want to complete the assembly of this thing here or what?
I have a feeling that as soon as it gets anywhere close to the last piece, it's going to assemble itself. So I'll probably stay a little further away.
Okay. Um. Here, there's a
We
little
should
park I
get it.
haven't trampled yet.
We should get out of the city before we destroy more of it. Maybe there's something we can do with this enormous size that we could fix a few things.
He tries to pick up a corner of a building and it just sort of crumbles because he doesn't
Yeah.
really understand how this works at this size.
It's not
Uh,
Legos.
No.
Can any of you mend the building? Does that work?
I don't know. I
Maybe.
think maybe somebody could like scoop up some water in their hands and throw it on that fire over there. Um,
I
But,
think the main residual effect right now from your fight, there was an area that was on fire, and it doesn't look like it's necessarily actively spreading right now, but certainly there are some buildings in active flames and could spread if they're completely unchecked.
yeah.
But also, like at your size, patting out the flames seems like
And scoop up
It's-
some water.
Yeah. And then there was also a big area that was sort of frozen over and is still kind of covered with ice, although it's starting to melt now. And then I think there was, I don't remember what this big purple circle was. And you note that the image of the enormous Emerald arboreus world tree that sort of took over the horizon when Amethyst took the scene. You always kind of understood that that wasn't sort of like literal, like the tree had not moved or anything, but the image of it has now faded back to the normal skyline. Otherwise, they're very small, so they're keeping their distance to avoid being stepped on. But some of your other allies are around. Your flying castle Sunya, now currently, the size of your head, is hovering nearby as well.
Ooh, somebody could wear Sunya as a hat.
Well, it has
I wouldn't
propellers
recommend
on the
it.
bottom, so
Yeah.
Well, go on. Haircut.
turn it upside
Go
down.
for it.
Well, you
It's
have
like
to
a
have
beanie.
hair.
Scale cut.
Yeah. Well, if we could like take the propeller and put some like,
Well, see, that's why you turn it upside down, and then the propeller's like a propeller beanie.
well, yeah, or you put like some sponges on it or something, and you just loofah your scales.
Mhm.
I'm going to kneel on the beach,
Mhm.
not like in the water very far,
Mhm.
and pray that we become normal size again
All right.
and see what happens.
I think that you have a sense, since it was through your magic that this happened in the first place, that this is already wearing off, but it is happening slowly. So, meaning, I think that, like, if you're really concentrating on it, you are already starting to shrink, but it's happening perhaps not as quickly as would be ideal. So, it's may take hours at this rate.
I mean, we could travel pretty far at this size. Just saying.
Yeah. Or, check me on this, we could walk into an area where Sunya could sit down, and then we could all get into Sunya and head back to the Titan's Pillar with the Somnic Densemulsifier filtery thing, and all of you guys couldn't figure that out. And Brenna and I could make some food.
I'm gonna open up the tower and make it biggest size ever.
I think it is,
The
right? Because
biggest-
it was the
where
beacon.
where you left it, I think you did make it small
I
again
did pick
after
it back,
doing
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But when you had it that size, it actually would have still been too small for you because you are now the size of it at its big size.
Okay.
So you basically had made it the size of a big skyscraper, but that's how big you all are now. Now that's slowly changing, but
I am going to send my adorable little raven that I barely ever use, my figurine of wondrous power,
mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna send it with a message to Sequential
Okay.
and ask if he can bring the shrinking beam down.
Yeah, you can do that. You also, I think one of you at least has the sending stone to talk with them. No?
We gave that to Ivy.
Oh, okay. Well, so someone had. So I guess
I do have the sending spell. I can
Okay,
use
well
that.
maybe that was why. Because yeah, so certainly during the fight, Yobera had sent a sending to you during the
Yeah.
fight.
Well, they've got the phone installed, so
Yeah. You
Yeah.
also are big enough, you could probably just say it out loud. They wouldn't necessarily be as easily able to respond, but if you just said something, they would probably hear you. But the downside being perhaps that so would everybody for, a 2-mile radius.
I just wanted to see if my raven was like
Oh, yeah.
kaiju size when I unleashed it.
That's a fun question. I think it would be just by the rules that we had previously, been working with when you got big. Yeah.
No, please go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so I think right now it's proportionally sized, just like all of your other sort of magics were. But I think
It can become a raven for up to 12 hours, so
Mhm.
I'm totally gonna bring it out just because now
Yeah.
I want to have a giant raven like sitting on
Sure.
my shoulder.
Mm-hmm. I think one thing, as you're kind of talking through this, one thing you're sort of becoming aware of is that now that the signs of obvious combat have faded, you are hearing like a sound that it takes you a moment to realize is people are filling the streets and cheering up at you. Like they're staying well back, so it's not like they're right around your feet or anything, because most of the people in the part of the city that you're in had already evacuated, but the city had not completely emptied out, and those who remain are celebrating their, the city being mostly saved.
I'd like to think that Lynn like goes to reach into her pocket to pull out a business card, but it's like big enough.
It's like banner size.
Mhm.
It's like billboard
Replace someone's
size.
roof with it.
Mhm.
Oh, cast
So,
a shadow over the city.
so I think that, Lynn, you do get another sending from Yobert of just saying, that was incredible. I think we have a lot to talk about. Are you going to stay that big? I don't necessarily understand how that's happening. Do we need to make logistical plans around that, or is it going to wear off?
Do I like feel the magic kind of like diminishing
Yeah,
y'all, or
I
is
think
it
you all sort of have a little bit of a sense that it's kind of it's going out like the tide. Basically, it's you kind of get a sense that it's leaving you, but you're just still you're going to be much larger than normal sized for hours probably. But I think you all have an intuitive sense that that's happening though.
so in reply I would say don't think it's permanent. I'm trying to remember. We had them set down somewhere before, but it was like kind of far outside of town.
Yeah, well, you had previously landed the castle out of town in two different places. One was when you were specifically trying to have it be out of sight, and another was more convenient. I think at this point you're not as worried about being spotted.
So yeah, I'd probably just say, but just find a place to touch down and we'll connect then and discuss.
Somewhere with open space around it.
But I only have 25 words, so just like
The main street's pretty empty now
Yeah.
because we stepped on it.
You'd just like to be able to sit down without poking your butt on a church. Anyway.
hate it when that happens.
Yeah, so
It's a real pain in the ass.
I was just suddenly thinking about Ghostbusters. Nobody steps on a church in my town. Anyway, so yeah, the Sunia does kind of like move out to where there's a lot more like open area outside the main borders of the city. Obviously, I think it would be difficult to walk straight through the city from where you are, but you could kind of, it's easy for you to just, wade into the water and it's, walk along that way without I think you discover you have to be a little bit further out because literally your footsteps are causing big waves to like slosh in.
How much bigger than the Kraken would we be now?
Settle a
could-
score.
Um, it's interesting because like you didn't really ever see it completely out of the water,
Mm.
right? You only kind of saw the part that was forced to stay at the surface. I think that the Kraken right now would be, you know how squid have sort of regular tentacles and then two extra long ones. I think the
Mhm.
body with the regular ones would be about the like length of your arm, and then the longer ones are longer.
It'd be fun to like pick it up and throw it at the wall like one of those sticky things.
Stick my arm up and, like use it like a sock puppet.
Kind of disrespectful.
I would not do that because that Kraken did us good. It didn't do evil to us, even though it very well could have just swallowed
Yep.
Lynn and Saline.
I think Vertigo will choose to cast Fly, so that he's not going to harm anything else
Okay.
instead. Probably sounds like a hover jet taking off, but
Easily done.
Zinhorn
Yeah,
spreads his wings,
floating over the
thinks
city
about
like a
it for a
big-
moment,
Thanksgiving balloon.
and realized that the wind would probably
Mhm.
blow down half the building. Just folds his wings back in
Yeah.
gently.
I know we
Or
were
part of
talking
the
about it. You
parade.
did use some water to put out the fire. I think you were saying
Yeah.
you were going to do that. Just double checking that
Yes.
you had planned to do that. All right.
Yes, I scoop up some water and
Mm-hmm.
toss it onto the fires that I see.
Yeah.
Because,
Mhm.
city boy, wooden city, fire gets drummed into your head very early. Bad thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I think as you are kind of like making your way outside, around the city outskirts, I think you're just watching as, they. I think you're big enough that it's actually probably a little bit hard to really follow what individual people are doing down on the streets. Like you would have to kind of like lean over and look close. But there does seem to be activity. I think as you get to where you can sort of see beyond the city, you definitely see where there had been kind of these long, like columns of people fleeing the city. And it
Mhm.
seems like some of that progress has stopped because, maybe they watched the fight themselves and now it's not clear if they need to keep moving or if they could come back or what. And so, but there's kind of just a lot of people outside the city and kind of a lot of like milling around in that way too. But all the more so that as you are sort of like moving by these just enormous, gargantuan, creatures that many of them do actually recognize. Except, usually you got taller since I last saw you. Yeah, you're just, I think you just have a sense that people are just like, they can't even believe what they're seeing. Just you're inspiring awe wherever you go here. This is, people are used to magic, but,
This is some big magic.
yeah.
I think that Vertigo will put the wheel back in the bag so that
Mhm.
it's not out and therefore shouldn't trigger a reaction.
Sure.
And then there's no particular rush because Sunya still has to land.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll kind of glide over the city and see if there's little things he can do.
Okay.
It's kind of like, picking up some rubble or helping people if they're trapped or whatever. Just little things. Someone
Yeah.
trapped on a roof and needs to get
Mhm.
down. There's I think it's an insurance commercial right now where there's a giant in the town who just does all these little menial tasks around town, and I
Mhm.
kind of like that idea.
I'm
of,
just
like-
the story of the guy in the flood that's like, oh God, why didn't you save me? He's like, well, I sent
Yeah.
a kaiju-sized gnome. Yeah. So I mean, I think since everyone else is kind of taking the long way around, you do have some time, and yeah, I think. So here's I guess a question. Even if you're trying to help, I think that you're just so big that there's going to be a lot of people who just can't necessarily process the idea of being helped, in a meaningful way. And so let's get a charisma check just to sort of like, I'm not saying you can't help people regardless, but just to kind of get a sense of how you are coming across.
Any particular? I don't think I have any charisma skills, so it's not
I
going to
mean,
matter anyway.
like if you wanted to make it persuasion, we could do that, but
Yeah, yeah. I don't have any actual charisma skills.
you got a
nat
natural
20.
20. Oh my gosh. I think that, yeah, like, as I mentioned, you are big enough that this is a little bit like if you were trying to, trying to discern the nuanced emotions of an ant on your hand, right? Like it's hard to be too.
I will
detailed.
say
Mm-hmm.
that Vertigo has a very unique perspective on being smaller than everybody else.
Mm-hmm. So I guess tell me, what is it that, because this is a natural 20 of persuasion. Tell me what Nedry is communicating with his assistants here.
I think because charisma is actually one of the stats that has been built up over time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because he's seen the influence and the effect of what Lynn does and how they're able to, calm people down, get the crowd on their side, get people going. So he's thinking that and trying to remember some of the snatches of songs or remember some of the inspiring things that they've
Mm-hmm.
said, and trying to use that. It doesn't always come out as appropriate, but where it doesn't come out appropriate, it comes out as funny, perhaps. So
Yeah.
it lightens the mood a lot.
I think you find yourself just kind of almost accidentally, accidental poetry here. You're just saying basic things, but just somehow it's that mode where just everything seems just like that was just exactly the right thing. And, you find several places where, you just realize it's like, oh, there's some people stuck on a roof here, and then you just help them get down. Or, you see that there's some rubble that you're able to sort of just gently pick up and clear away. And yeah, you are able to help some people, but I think even more than the specific places where you intervene, you register to the people that you pass overhead as an incredibly enormous and powerful, benevolent presence who has come here to the city to save everyone.
We're practically gods.
Should we also mention that we're the champions in the last competition?
Well, I mean, a lot of them may or may not recognize you.
Bring out the ribbon from the bag and kind
Yeah.
of put it on his chest.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Are there any like lingering random construct makers still trying to, I don't know, maybe flee undiscovered?
So yes. I think that if you wanted to try to get like a more specific sense of what's going on, because there's a lot of activity, but go ahead and make like an investigation check if you want to kind of really try to get a sense of what's happening with that.
$17.
So you know that this had been sort of pre-established when you arrived here this most recent time, that it seems like the people who were sort of most in charge from that the Construct Maker faction fled first because they kind of knew what was actually coming and that it was pointless to try to actually stop it in a meaningful way from their point of view. So a lot of them had sort of a much bigger head start and really got out and are not nearby. But there were a lot more of them that weren't really part of like the in-crowd sort of, party of that, and were kind of like left behind because they were just refugees. They didn't necessarily get all the right memos. And so there's actually a fair amount of them that are just kind of scattered amongst everybody else. You see some of them kind of along with the other people that were fleeing the city at your message. But here and there, you actually see a couple who seem to be helping people in the city.
Okay. I'll let them go do their thing. I was more concerned about the ones that were supposed to be, helping
Mm-hmm.
this evil happen.
Yeah.
We'll find them later.
Well, one of the things that might occur to you too, though, is that the part of the whole thing about what they do that was sinister is the way that they would put people under these contracts that seemed good and turned out to the house wins, so to speak. But your impression is that corporate headquarters got leveled by this thing. You're not really sure what that means for ongoing, the faction as an ongoing concern as opposed to the scattered remnants of it.
I'm curious. I mean, and we may not find out right now or even ever, but how much of an influence they were under and how much of it was just like, yeah, we totally go along with you. Like if they did it just because they were scared or because they wanted to survive, or if they're just flat out evil.
I mean, these are good questions.
Yeah, I think that once I'm smaller, I will consider that more, and like actually maybe gather some of those refugees that knew people and ask some questions.
Yeah. So I think you do all have a sense that as you're carefully moving out around the edges of the city to kind of come around. I think that as you're taking your time and moving all this, just maybe half an hour or something like that to kind of get to where you can sort of reconvene outside of the city and have a place to like stop and talk and not be crushing things. And I think even at this point, you recognize that like some of those buildings that would have only come up to your ankle before now are more like at your knee. So like you are coming down in size, but it's just happening slowly. But,
it's like that pipe weed, sometimes it just takes a long time to come down from it.
Yeah. So I think that, you make your way to where Sunia has put down, and I think, although they're very small in proportion to you, coming out on the top to wave at you from the roof, you see Yobert in his fancy wheelchair that Sequential made for him, and Brennan and Sequential, and Evan and Sorashana,
And what's her name, right? The one we rescued. Is she there still?
Do you mean, which one do you mean?
His other half. The one we
Yobert's
restored. Yeah.
heart.
Oh, right. Yes. Yes, she's there too. Boy, it's been a minute
It's
since
been
we
a
had
while,
these
yeah.
characters on screen, hasn't it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, gosh. I'm suddenly not flashing on her name either. Hang on.
I'm sure it's in my notes somewhere. But
Yeah, let's see. Oh man, the note that I just pulled up was only the song, the Moon Shadowed Sea song. All right, I'm gonna have this here just a second.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, no, no,
distract.
no. It is absolutely a worthy detail to Curity. Curity Detweiler was her name. So yes, she's there too. And so I think that they're kind of looking up at you and just like, wow, but this is just strange to try to have a conversation. I think you can kind of hear them shouting, but not really making it out very well. I think if you like lean your head right down near to them, you could make them out. But in the meantime, though, Zinhorn, you're still just holding the rest of the machine, or have you done anything else with it?
No, I mean it's just in my hand, and we're like heading toward a rendezvous. So
Yeah.
now that we're
It
closer, I want to like try and look at it and take
I was
it all
going
in.
to say something you've noticed even just as you were like moving with it is that you know how it feels when you hold and kind of play with a gyroscope that's spinning, like it just sort of has its own sort of orientation that it kind of wants to be in, and you can sort of feel it resist the movement in certain ways. The machine kind of feels like that a little bit to you as you just carry it. Like it is trying to sort of orient itself somehow to some magical energy that you maybe don't fully comprehend. And as you move it along, it's sort of finding and then losing that sort of field here and there. And it kind of occasionally like lurches or jerks in your hand, not in any extreme way, but certainly noticeable as you hold it.
Okay.
Yeah. But so
I think
now,
that.
oh yeah, go ahead.
No, please.
I was just going to say, now that you have like arrived to sit down, you can sort of take a closer look at it if you like.
Yeah, that's what I want to take a closer look at it and see if I can.
Are you kind of offering it for everybody to look at, or?
Yeah, I mean, I'm holding it up and looking at it. I'm not.
I'm just saying we could have like a helped investigation.
Okay.
Yeah. Are you helping, Nedrigo?
Yeah, I just want to mention something that he would have done on the way.
Sure.
He would have sat down so he's not flying at that moment, and very carefully reach out to see if he still has a connection to the blob.
Oh, so you may recall towards the end of the last session, once it was defeated, you had kind of an intuitive sense that this was the sort of entity that is not killed in a straightforward way.
Right.
It is defeated meaningfully. It's not a threat for the time being, but you have a sense that it's going to probably reform somewhere. Probably not here even, but it's just sort of an elemental force that kind of almost has to exist because the universe is shaped a certain way. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's kind of your sense here. And so it is not an ongoing concern here today, but you suspect that it is not either forever defeated.
Right. I guess partially because it could potentially have manifested more than once, because who knows if a blob can divide.
Yeah.
So
you also
it's
suspect
partially
that this was partly maybe the reason that the last who had fought it chose to try to freeze it in place instead of just destroying it.
Right.
To try to keep
So
it
yeah,
from
it's just he has the
reforming.
theory, tests the theory, still has a connection, still exists. Doesn't probe any deeper than that.
You don't sense any level of like presence or will, but perhaps only potential distant potential.
And yes, we'll definitely be helping to examine the device.
Yeah, so one or the other of you can roll in investigation with advantage.
probably better to be you because I have a +0.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Here, now what you need to do, you need to look at it over here. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
Look
a
at that.
31.
With advantage, and that's a natural 20 with the 31 as well. So I think so. Here's also just another question for Zinhorn, as you're sort of holding it out to be inspected. Like, are you warning them that what happened when you touched it, or
If they reach for it, yeah.
do you think you would reach out to try to touch it, Nedrico?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'll
He's had a little experience with these things before, so he's kind of aware that there's some weird magic involved, but
Mm-hmm.
there's some weird, powerful magic kind of did the whole funhouse mirror, but without the mirror or the fun when I touched it. So be prepared.
Good to know. It's bound to have all kinds of strange magic. I've put away the other piece, so hopefully it won't react to that just yet, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm still bound to it in a way, so.
Yeah. I think with your investigation, do you choose to not touch it at the moment and just look at it carefully as Zinhorn holds it?
I think with that warning specifically, yeah, he'd hold
Okay.
back.
I think that looking over at all of the pieces assembled in a way that you understand now, you had all those pieces. You could have put it together in the way that it is now, but you had hesitated to do so when you originally had a couple of pieces because it was so obvious that they sort of started like feeding off of each other and creating some kind of an energy field when they were even in close proximity to one another. But I think one of the things that you sense now, even just nearby it, is you can almost perceive that it is creating a substantial distortion in reality. That is like, it feels erratic. And I think looking at how it's incomplete, you suspect that part of what is making it sort of wild and erratic right now, producing this sort of vertigo distorted effect that Zinhorn described, is probably actually because it's incomplete, right? It's trying to generate an effect without all of the pieces necessary to do it in a specific controlled way. And so you think that it's quite possible that if you completed it, it would actually stop it from doing just this sort of wild distortion. It does not, however, mean that it would be less dangerous, because you don't still really quite understand what it is or what it's supposed to do. What it has been described to you by Kosh is that it will allow you to see the pillar in a different way. And this was presented to you as the way to solve the problem. The Siphoner Queen called it a somnic filter, but you don't really understand what knowledge she has that would lead her to whatever knowledge she has about it.
Yeah, she definitely has some deeper knowledge.
Yeah, she understands something about it that you don't.
Yeah.
You know what it's eventually supposed to do, but it's a little bit like saying that if you had a stick of dynamite by itself and you're sort of just like waving it around, it could hit something and blow up, right? Or it could just like destabilize and blow up. It's like dangerous in sort of a chaotic way, right? And that dynamite could then be assembled into an actual bomb with a detonator and all of that, that's designed to explode in a very specific controlled way, right? And at least in one sense, it's less dangerous because it's controlled. But in another sense, it's still blows up. That's still what it does. Right. And so that's kind of the vibe that you have here, is that you could put it together and it would at least stop this sort of erratic distortions that it's doing. Might make it safer to sort of be around in the short term, at least for people who are not trying to actually engage with what it's doing.
Hmm.
But in the same way that a lens will focus its light, right now it's doing this distortion because it's kind of all over the place. If you put it all together, it will focus whatever it's doing. And you don't really understand what that will be or what will happen when you do.
So Nedry will choose not to use the dynamite analogy
Yeah.
for fear of frightening everyone else.
What I'll say, though, is because you got a natural 20, I will also let you ask me a specific question about it, and I'll answer.
Okay. Okay.
You know, I might not just, like, if you ask me what's a Somnic filter, I will maybe give you some information. So this is not, like, perfect, but I would say,
Yeah.
you know, like, I think tell me the kind of thing you would like to know about it, and I'll answer your question.
Oh, only one question. What an
Yeah.
evil thing to do to Nedry. I think, so I know the origin of this device, and we know what it is sort of intended to be used for, even though its individual parts kind of don't necessarily add up to the same thing. It was never described as a weapon, but it is dangerous.
Well,
I
I think
think-
it's dangerous. Just like it seems powerful beyond comprehension,
Right.
which
Right.
implies danger. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'm assuming because the rest of the thing came together, and it sort of will probably self-assemble. So he's not worried about that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working through the problem out loud. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess, does it feel like it itself is a sentient being that's being reassembled, or a tool that is being to be used by someone?
I think you sense that it does not have any will of its own.
Okay.
It is not conscious. It is not alive. It is a tool designed to be used by an entity. Like, so whether that's a person, you know, or some other kind of like intelligence. But the point is that it is a tool and not itself an entity.
Okay. And used by one person.
Well, probably.
Yeah.
Unless
Okay.
you know, so like I think that that is more ambiguous. But the
Okay.
point of your question is, like, it does not have any will of its own. It is not trying to do something by itself. Once it is assembled, it is to be used. It won't otherwise do anything by itself.
Okay. So I'm Nedry would share his observations with it in kind of a somewhat detached tone, I think, as he's moving around, and sharing some of the observations he's had about the devices before.
We're familiar with the level of power we're dealing with, and it is potentially very dangerous if misused. But I think it will be safer once assembled completely. I've noticed somewhat of what you were describing before, Zinhorn, in only holding even individual pieces, how they seem to have a gravity of their own, or have like magnets trying to pull together. I can sense that it's stronger. I can see that the bond is stronger between it. But it's like a cart with 3 wheels. It will still roll, but it won't necessarily roll straight. And it will not handle rough terrain as well. I would recommend, if we're going to assemble this, that we do it somewhere outside of the range of especially the castle, probably the tower as well, because while it might be more stable, there still is likely to be some chaotic interference of magical energies.
Isn't this meant for us to like study the pillar with So I would think, if we're talking about assembling it, that we should do that like near this artifact, right?
I
Yeah,
would-
I would think so.
The pillar itself gives off a certain wave of powerful chaotic magic. So it probably is best to assemble it outside of the influence of it, but nearby, because we're going to want to take it to the pillar. Exactly how this is going to help is unclear. The Queen of the Siphoners seemed to have some familiarity with the object, which is somewhat distressing. But describing it as a filter suggests that it would be able to help us interpret what's going on. It certainly seemed like that was cautious intention too. But we probably shouldn't delay too long.
I think as you're having this conversation and with the other stuff that's done, I think if it felt worthwhile, you could call what you're doing a short rest while you're kind of having this conversation.
Okay.
I think you are aware as you kind of sit that you are continuing, to shrink, like this thing that easily fit in the palm of your hand at first, Zinhorn, now is maybe a bit more like like a cantaloupe in your, like instead of being a plum, it's a cantaloupe, right? Because you're getting smaller. Certainly the height of the castle near you is getting bigger by proportion. So it's continuing to happen. Zaylene, please make a perception check for me. Actually, you know what? Make it a religion check. I take rather than perception. You know what? Roll both.
Okay. Religion check was 27.
Okay. $27 is a pretty good religion check. Yeah. And
25.
oh
for
wow, good
perception.
on both. So this you had mentioned praying to get small again, and I'd kind of sort of forestalled that by just sort of saying you notice it's kind of already slowly wearing off. But I think that as this is progressing, you're getting a little bit of a slow burn feeling that something's not quite right. Like, it didn't take this long to get bigger. And as this is wearing off, you sort of are getting a weird sense like it's being held in place almost as a not a desperate action, but like it's lingering in a weirdly like wistful way, like it's not ready for it to be done. And so this strange sort of like you're having just kind of a strange like empathetic reaction to this magic that happened. But your relationship with the Mistress of the Dark has been a little up and down recently, right? And for you to have felt somewhat separate from her, but then to be given this incredible divine inspiration when you needed it, I think you are getting a little bit of a strange goodbye vibe from it. And I don't think you necessarily know why that would be. But you get that feeling that this is lingering almost as sort of a not quite ready to completely close the door yet. So,
I will sit with that like quietly while everybody else is playing
yeah,
new toys,
hmm
trying to understand them.
sure. So I think also while this is happening, you become aware that several of your other like allies from the fight have made their way to this location as well. And so, there's some of Solomonia's clerics and paladins that have joined the others on the roof of the castle. And Talitha and Rupino and Trandonel are there now, and Amethyst has shown up, and I think at one point she kind of just calls up to all of you that said, Nira and Alaric would have liked to be here too, but they said they needed to take care of the place where the destroyer slipped back in through the seal that's supposed to be holding out the plane of chaos. So hopefully that works out. And it has occurred to me that perhaps that could be a fun one-shot adventure to do at some point. But yeah, so in any case, they're
I'm
kind
up
of
for it
all-
if you are,
yeah.
Mark.
So there,
Sure.
I think we have a little bit of it's just still a little bit of a strange dynamic where you're all still big but getting smaller, having your own sort of investigation, while meanwhile all your allies are kind of gathering and having their own smaller scale conversation where it still feels a little awkward to try to actually do much talking back and forth. But it's clear that like some planning and recon and information sharing is happening there. And so I think to the extent that you were wanting to be proactive in hearing what they were all saying, you could probably do that, but it seems like you've been focused on the machine as well. Unless Lynn, while Vertigo and Zinhorn were looking at the machine, I don't know what you were doing.
I'm not particularly helpful with that stuff, so I'd probably just be staying out of the way mostly.
Okay.
Let the technically adept magic people do their thing, and
Well, so are you just kind of chilling? So this is
Mhm.
basically like if I think to try to follow anything that's being said by your regular sized allies on Sunya's roof would probably require like active concentration on your part. Like you'd have to be leaning in close and like really paying attention to try to follow it at all. But you could do that if you wanted.
yeah. So I'm just gonna be paying attention because
Okay.
don't really have a lot to add here.
So it's clear that I mean, and you could probably join in too if you're really like listening. So we could. I think basically as it starts, there's just a sense of. Well, so let me put it this way. No one else has any idea where this thing came from, right? Like, I think you had. I'm trying to remember. Had you told anybody else about the blob? Not really. I don't think so. Right?
I thought we warned Yobert,
Yeah. Well, so
and
you
that
did.
was why we asked
Yeah.
him to come.
Well, and you did at one point, like when you had just seen the ruins of Dinit there, you sent to Nelson Devereaux also that this thing was coming. But what I guess I mean is not did you warn people that a giant monster was coming, but more that like what you know about it and like how it entered the story and all of that stuff. Like even the fact that it had all of the other pieces of the machine is news to them.
I'm trying to remember who even knows about the machine too.
Yobert and everyone in Sunya know.
Yeah.
Because you
So
definitely talked
Sequential
about it
and
with them.
Sarashana.
Yeah. I think, Lynn, I think that as you are like leaning in close to like listen, you realize at some point you feel a little bit of like a tickle on your sleeve, and you realize that Sorashana has climbed up to sit on your shoulder and just kind of like lean against the side of your giant head.
I love that. I love that so much.
um,
Because
So-
I would think if anybody might have insight into what
Mhm.
we're intended to do with this thing,
Yeah.
it would be her.
right. She seems like she's just listening right now. She has her mask down, but she does, climb up to, sit next to you in a fashion.
That makes me so happy I've been chosen.
Um, and so I think that maybe you can kind of fill them in on like what even was that thing. You can like tell them at least some of that, right? You can tell them what you saw over in Dinuthere. Like they knew some of that. Like they had sent some scrying over and they saw like destruction, but like what actually happened, just the story from your perspective. Not to mention the last I think anybody knew where you were going, you were trying to go to Dinuthere through Emerald Arboris's roots, and they don't really know anything about what happened down there, right? So I guess tell me, would you just be sharing all of that really as, surface level, like holding nothing back? Or bearing in mind that as
given
you have this
given that
conversation,
we
you're-
probably have an audience.
it's mixed
yeah,
company too. It's not just your friends from Sunya.
right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't go into, I might give them like some broad brush strokes of like,
Mhm.
this is where the thing came from. We're not entirely sure like how it got back through, but it's, it's a blob, so
Mhm.
tiny little holes. Yeah, so where it came from, and then what we saw it did on Dinethir, and yeah, kind of what little we know about, which we don't know anything, like how it just collected the constructs. So
Mhm.
that was new. Yeah, so probably just, yeah, like I said, just broad brushstrokes
Yeah.
of stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think that there is obviously like there's a lot of like getting everybody sort of up to speed and on the same page. And I think that there's a lot of sense too of although this particular fight seems like it's over for today, there's a lot of sort of ongoing, well, we don't know what all of this means yet. Right? I think everyone is aware that like Vertigo and Zinhorn are obviously looking at some sort of a complicated machine, and Yobert and Sequential and so on know more about that. But I think they're sort of going to follow your lead on how much to share with everybody else about it. I think the whole question of like what's to be done with the pillar is really something you really haven't talked to any of these other allies about very much. Which I mean, I'm not telling you should have, because that's a complicated question, right? When you're dealing with something like the pillar.
So I don't know that I would want to bring a whole lot of voices in, because making decisions with large committees, like everyone's going to have their own input and motivations and agendas, and we don't really have that. So not that we wouldn't take input, but I think we should keep the circle small. As far as like decision making.
Yeah. There's some discussion about what's to be done with the construct makers, especially given that the whole thing that they were promising to help take care of, right? Like their whole offer was to say, we can help you fight all of these nightmare creatures that keep coming out, which is still an ongoing concern, incidentally. But at the same time, what does it mean if, as you've said, their power base in Dinuthere might have been destroyed? Like, do they still even have the same sort of power that they did before? Unclear. But there's a lot of them here now. So what's to be done with them? There's obviously some folks that are wanting to start talking about like, well, do we need some sort of an organized like relief effort to try to help take care of the people of Emersham here, like to like rebuild their port and take care of anyone who's like displaced. And I think that there's some sense of like, well, yeah, that would be great if we weren't also in an emergency everywhere else. So there's kind of all of these conversations kind of happening too. And so I think like all of that's going on. Zaylene, so like as you're kind of just like absorbing this feeling and trying to understand more about it, is there anything else that you're sort of like doing, or you're just kind of meditating on it?
I'm just sort of meditating on it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel comfortable talking to anybody else because I'm so big
Sure.
and my voice is so loud.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of being quiet
Sure.
and like meditating on what's happening.
Okay, well, I even just mean like in the sense of your meditation, like if you wanted to, if you're sort of just trying to continue to sort of feel out what is this that you're feeling, you can do that. But if you wanted to take any other sort of action on that, let me know.
I'm just sort of like, I'm thinking about everything that's happened since I felt that sort of divide. Like even when we were in the roots and with this strange thing that happened where I was sort of like talking to a shade of myself and all of that, and then just having that realization. I'm just like sort of combing through like all of the things that have happened.
So I think it wasn't a natural 20, but you had a pretty high score on your religion. Otherwise, like, is there a specific question that you're meditating on, or you still feel like you've just kind of got to, it's like the old divination rituals of like rolling the bones. You've got just a lot of pieces, and you're kind of shaking them around to see if they can make sense at all. Is that kind of the vibe, or?
Kinda, yeah. I feel like there's a lot more to what is happening than I am able to even comprehend at the moment. Like I feel like it's not so much that it's above me, but it's something that I'm almost not letting myself understand. So I'm kind of like ruminating on that because why can't I just make sense of it?
Sure. So this is where I'm going to ask a little bit of a meta question for you as a player, as aside from Zaylene as a character here, is that like to some extent, I feel like you are sensing what I'm attending here. But I guess I just want to say, if you are feeling like as a player, like you want more from me to understand kind of what's happening, or if you're happy with the mystery being where it is right now, that's fine too. I just kind of want to make sure if you were feeling as a player like you're frustrated that I'm not being clear enough or not giving you enough. Okay, so I just wanted to just check in on that. Okay. So yeah,
I think that it's like a slow process, like of understanding, even like coming to that, because it is such a huge part of who she is.
Right. So the parts that definitely, like, as you sort of remonstrate was the word that came to mind, but that's not the right word. Sort of just as you sort of mull over these various questions, I think the two ideas that just really feel like they're right are there is some big piece of this puzzle that you don't have. There's something, all of the information you have all fits around some other one big thing that you don't know. And also that piece that there may be a part of you that is kind of avoiding it. Both of those feel true, which does not necessarily mean it's easy to just say, oh, I'm just going to stop avoiding it. Right?
Right. Yeah. So. Yeah. I think that's exactly where she is. Like I think she knows that if she just pushed a little bit, it would make more sense. But there's a part of her that's kind of afraid.
Yeah.
to push through it and find out what it is that she's missing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right. So, I think Zinhorn and Nedrigo, you can certainly have, I think we can imagine that you have been continuing to study this thing as you start getting to the point where it's not as easy to just hold this machine easily in your hand to look at it close. Like, what is the plan for where it's going to get to the point where this thing is like, once you're back at normal size, this assembled machine is like the size of a like double width refrigerator. It's like one of the kind with the two doors.
Yeah. I mean, have we gotten smaller than Sunya?
I think
Yeah.
I think you're basically at now where like as it lands on the ground, if you stand up, you are at the height. Your head is at the height of the roof.
Oh, okay.
So you're not enough that you could go inside yet, but it would probably start to be easier to participate in the conversation.
Yeah, and I can like set it on top of Sunya.
Yeah. Well, so the question is, do you want to do that given that there's like
Ooh,
agents of
that's-
Solomonia and, agents of the Emperor and, and people from
Yeah.
Emersham there. Like,
Do we
I think a
wanna
lot of
just-
them are aware that you're studying something, but it's another thing to just put it right in the middle of them. Especially
yeah.
given that you know what it did when you touched it.
Oh, yeah, good point. I think maybe we need to put this away.
Hmm.
Well, we could find a place some distance away and finish the installation.
That seems like a good idea. Does anyone
Well-
have a problem with that?
We'll probably need to have a cart,
I can lift it.
even when you're normal sized.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, okay.
giant strength.
Oh, right. I'm not used to that sort of thing. I can lift things now that I would never have dreamed of, and that is a little bit disturbing, actually.
I think there is an element where, I know this happens in like Superman all the time where he's lifting these gigantic things. I think there's an element where at a certain size, even if you're physically strong enough to lift it, the size is still awkward. Like just think about like the box that refrigerator might come in. The box by itself is not too heavy for you to lift, but try actually carrying it around anywhere.
Yeah.
Still, it probably would be better not to be touching it a lot.
Okay. Why don't we, take off at a brisk walk and let everyone know we'll be back in a couple hours and walk.
Well, and
You
might
know,
be better to
somewhere we
have
can put it together.
might be better to have our closest friends and allies there. Specifically, Sequential and Sorashana should be able to shed more light on this. And this has a peculiar kind of connection to Sorashana to begin with. I would imagine that she'd want to see the completion of her. Well, I'm not really sure how she would describe her relationship with Kosh, but other half, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's been a long time, so it's maybe worth, like it's been less time for the characters than for us as players. You may recall, Zaylene in particular would probably recall that although obviously Sorashana has this connection with Kosh that's really significant, she actually seems to be expressing a fair amount of anxiety about this whole plan. She is not at all convinced that it's the right thing, and certainly not that it's safe.
Second thought, maybe not.
Which is not, I mean, it's like up to you. It seemed like you were planning to do it. I'm just reminding you that's how she felt about it.
Yeah, I hadn't remembered that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fairly confident that between the two of us, we could make a significant impact in whatever happens, but it's always been better when we've all been working together. And it will be odd from the very moment this is all reassembled. And while I don't mind trying to explain it to the others, I would actually expect their first-hand accounts to have more weight to them. but we'll have to make sure that everyone else is kept away. Just in case.
As everybody else gets smaller, can I stay bigger a little bit?
And lord it over
Um,
all of us.
I think
like,
I will
Ash
actually
space
say
of our size.
well, I was just going to say that I think that you may realize as you've been meditating on like really trying to hang on to this feeling that you're having so that you can sort of process it. I think you do recognize that it seems like doing so has slowed down the rate of shrinking for you compared to your friends. So like I think you might sort of recognize this like wait a minute, they've gotten smaller more quickly than I have. Don't say I
Hmm.
never did nothing for you.
Yeah. I'm huge.
I don't know if we can wait long enough to have it on the other island. And we could probably get there, but it would also be safer here to assemble it. I suspect that Dinethir, well, all the denizens of Dinethir would be interested in potentially making a search for this thing,
What
or
What if we did it near the temple? Like in that whole area that they were clearing out when they were trying to get inside.
as good a place as any, I think. I don't know how long our enlargement is meant to continue.
You're actually quite small now.
I'm used to it. That's my only
I
concern.
think it would be a notable discrepancy. It just I think the rest of you would sort of realize that she doesn't seem like she's shrinking as fast as the rest of you.
Hmm. Well, I hope Lynn likes tall women.
Because she does.
Lynn does not discriminate. Everybody is
Exactly.
beautiful.
You need to do that meme where Zaylene's leaning against the wall over your shoulder. You guys know the one I
Yeah.
mean, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so I mean, I guess like, tell me if you're doing something. You talked about maybe walking away to go do this. You could
Yeah.
do that. Yeah.
Shall we take a walk?
And I
Or do
think
we
that
wanna-
are you excusing yourself? Because I think there are probably several people there that would want to come with you if you were going to allow that, but you also probably
Yeah, I
could
think we want this to
insist
be our
otherwise.
closest allies.
Well, okay, but who's that?
Or-
I would like to bring sequential.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Sorashana.
Okay.
And if she wants
If she
to.
wants to
Yeah.
go, yes.
I mean, you got Talitha and Rupino and Trandonel there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can come too.
Okay.
Yep.
Why are we
We'll just
not
keep
just going
naming people
inside
who-
the castle?
Well,
Because
I think
the magic coming off this thing might damage Sunya.
Yeah, the effects are
I
going to
thought
be
we were just talking now. Or okay.
well.
Well, I
we've-
mean, you're still kind of talking, but I think that's what they were wanting to walk away to do is to finish assembling the machine, and they don't know what will happen when they do.
Why don't we wait to do that until we're on Dinethir?
Well, I'm kind of hoping to take advantage of our somewhat altered states while we can, and might make it a little bit easier to deal with whatever might happen. It may be nothing. The devices independently have quirky effects that may be assembled that will be simply running normally, but while we have these additional enlargements, it might be helpful. Plus, also carrying it would be a little less awkward if some of us are bigger that can just carry it.
You want me to carry it?
Well,
can.
Yeah. So I think as you're even having this conversation of doing it, I think let's get a persuasion check from either Vertigo or Zinhorn as they're kind of trying to sell this idea.
I I got +8. What you got?
I will just help you.
Okay.
I will give you good vibes.
Mhm.
Oh, hopes and prayers.
26 is pretty good. So I think that you have the sense that there's quite a few of the people that are gathered here that are not merely interested in wanting to know what's going on, but also perhaps even concerned by the prospect of secrets at this time. You know what I mean? But that
Mhm.
said, I think tell me the speech that you give them that seems to soothe those concerns.
This,
4 score and 7,000 years ago.
yes. This is a very dangerous piece of magic. Even holding it was um, very disorienting, and we need to investigate it further, someplace where it won't be of danger to anything particularly magical like Sunya, the magic castle, or danger to any of our friends and allies. So we are going to take a walk, get a little bit farther away, so that if something goes wrong, we are not putting large amounts of people that we care about in danger.
Mm-hmm.
These are our experts on magic, and um, um, we just need a little bit of room to work, and hopefully everything will work out well.
Mm-hmm.
But we'd appreciate your cooperation in giving us some space.
So I think that there are several individuals here, both on their own behalf and then also just those who are like here on Solomonia's grace. That you know Solomonia's whole thing is like, well, you don't keep secrets. That's a shameful thing. That whole thing.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people who might have arguments, against what you're saying, and yet I think your sincerity, the you're just the force of your personality as you explain this is stills any of those objections before they are spoken.
Yeah, and it's more about safety than
Mm-hmm.
secrecy.
I can assure you, as a registered and frequent Tesotem contributor, I will publish whatever results I can decipher in the future, once we've determined this is stable enough to understand.
So are all four of you coming along to who are you bringing with you to walk out into a patch of wilderness to do this?
I think we need sequential Sorashana
Mm-hmm.
and like the trio,
Yeah,
and
especially
maybe
Rupino. Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
and maybe Evan because he could stand guard and he missed us.
Because we need
Yeah.
fodder. We need a red shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Someone to demonstrate how
Yes.
dangerous this thing is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we're now at the point where probably like the three of you that are on the accelerated timetable here are maybe like 10 to 12 feet tall now. Nedry a little bit shorter, but so like Carolina, I think Sorashana, unless you maybe would encourage her, otherwise is more like would be like carrying a toddler up on your shoulder. You know what I mean? But
Starting to get awkward.
Well,
I
you
feel
know,
like
it's,
she would not necessarily be comfortable with that. So
yeah. Well, so I think it's
at
one
a
of
certain
those
point,
where,
she would have climbed down, I think.
yeah, yeah. So I was just going to say, like, I think there might have been a sense of, if she thought you wanted her to stay there, she would. But if there, if it was ever at a point where, like, okay, we're agreed, this is, yeah, okay.
Hmm. Yeah.
But I think maybe Zaleen is still, more at the, like, the 20 feet tall, um, you know, phase. And so
I
I
will
think,
reach out for Sorashana to see if she wants to ride on my shoulder.
oh yeah, uppies. Yeah, she'll switch over. Um, so I think as you are, as you're making your way in that direction, I think Talitha does, approach you, Zaleen, and say, um, I'm sensing that you are wrestling with deep thoughts.
Hmm,
Is it something that you would wish to discuss in private?
maybe. What do you know about spirits?
I don't pretend to have a great amount of knowledge that might help you, but I have lived for a long time and seen a great many things. Perhaps they can be, if nothing else, a sounding board for you on things that you may feel uncomfortable discussing with others.
So, a few months ago, because, I don't know, time is weird.
Hmm.
Um,
Tell me about
I
it.
came. Yeah, you would know. Um, call that time in the weird dimension.
Hmm.
Trapped. Yeah, time is strange. But when I came awake in this place, I couldn't remember who I was before, but I know that I'm not this. This is not me. Um, and for a while, things have been complicated. I'm just wrestling a lot with who I am. And I mean, I know who I am among these people, but at the same time, I still just, I know that this isn't who I am.
Do you feel that there is some purpose for which you were intended and are not yet fulfilling? Or is it that you feel discomfort with who you are now?
I don't feel as comfortable in this skin as I did before.
Hmm.
I don't know when it happened. I mean, I kind of do. And it was here at the temple when we came to find you. My purpose had been sort of fulfilled.
Hmm.
And then I died and came back. And ever since then, I don't feel like I have a purpose anymore. I mean, I came back so I could help my friends.
What would you say that it means to have a purpose?
I don't know, it's the thing that drives you, right? mean, isn't that what everyone does? I mean, doesn't everyone have something that, some reason that they live and exist?
Is this purpose a choice, or is it something external to you?
I don't know. It always just felt like who I was. Like my purpose was me.
I have spent a significant portion of my existence believing that my purpose was to keep Dinuther sealed away forever. And although there has been strife, conflict, since it has been revealed, I am left feeling a hope now that perhaps the world can be better than it was, now that the thing that I thought was my purpose has failed.
So what drives you now?
I will confess that I have some struggle with this on myself. Perhaps this is why I sensed in you some of this conflict you're feeling. But
So many.
one thing that never left me in all of the time that I believed I had a duty to maintain that seal, it was never something that I felt had been forced upon me. It was something that I chose, something that I believed in, and I don't know even that I was wrong so much as perhaps something that is right at one time is not always right forever. And I think it is also true that there are patterns to existence. The time for things come and go. You served the Mistress of the Dark, yes?
Mm-hmm.
I believe that we have in a past conversation touched upon this briefly. Have we discussed that the Mistress of the Dark, as you know her, is not the entity that reigned over that spiritual domain when I had entered my service?
Yeah, we did discuss that. We didn't get to talk about it very deeply because everything, but we did. And I looked for a really long time. Like everywhere we went, we tried to go to the library, and like I don't even know why, because every time we went to the library, it was like some outside force was trying to keep knowledge from my brain.
Perhaps
Because I
in a
wanted
way
to
the
know more.
universe knew you weren't ready for it. It strikes me that despite the gods having a reputation for being eternal, immortal, forever, we know that that is not always true. We know that the Titans came before anything that we know now. The Titans had their time and then they left, faded into the cosmos that surrounds us, and made the way for the time of our universe as we understand it now. Even as I understand it now, the throne of Mount Celestia is occupied by another than it once was. It does strike me that the goddess of death perhaps also is not so eternal as we mortals might normally think. We know that there was another, and that the Mistress of the Dark, as you know her now, took her place. Things change. A purpose you believe is forever, at one time, may be something that changes for you. And I think this is something I'm attempting to communicate to myself perhaps as much as to you. That perhaps it is okay to let go of something you thought would be forever and accept what might come in its place. To allow that change in the cosmos, while often frightening, may sometimes be necessary. I fear that I'm telling you what I need to hear rather than what you need to hear.
I felt for a very long time that I was a part of her. And maybe I am. I mean, isn't it usually the way of spirits to want to be bigger? You know, to come together, and I feel like maybe she broke a piece of herself off for me.
For what purpose?
And if it's time
do you
for her to
think?
move on, it's everything that she taught me, that I have to mourn her and grieve her and let her go. Because it's part of the cycle.
Hmm.
It's a lot to think about.
Hmm. Well, I don't think there is anyone, alive or dead, who can tell you what you need to do. But it does sound as though there is perhaps part of you that does know already.
I guess I still have other things to do before I think too deeply on them.
Hmm. Well,
Thank you.
hopefully we can do our best to find those around us who can help to steady us when we need it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hmm.
Your insight was something I really needed to hear.
I'm glad. Perhaps I can take some of my own advice now that you have gone first. So I think that conversation was happening along the walk. Do you think anyone else, or any of the rest of you, talking? Or you think, or if not, we can just go ahead and say you're solemnly proceeding to a place that you feel will be sufficiently out of the way.
I think we're recounting the summer games
Hmm.
And all of the fun that we had participating and winning. Winning is always fun. But even just participating and how much fun we had that night.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if I approached the games in the right spirit, but it was fun.
Mhm.
An odd challenge for me.
Needed more crabaratus. Just
Uh,
saying.
maybe not that.
Crabaratus.
I think it's terrifying.
I like it.
It's claustrophobic. I mean, I get that.
I understand that.
Needs more leg room.
It definitely needs, that whole getting bigger thing.
Hmm.
Or maybe I could get smaller, but it was just so fascinating being under the water.
Once it was fascinating. I prefer the underwater experience at the Maelstrom in a way.
Hmm.
It was less of being underwater and just being.
The Maelstrom or the Moonshadowed Sea?
Oh, well, I have had many names of it in my head,
Okay.
trying to figure out how to explain it to others.
Hmm.
I'll let you handle that. There's so much we've been through that I can't explain,
Oh,
at least not coherently.
Hmm.
I mean, I
That's
don't mind the idea of putting my notes in order, but it will be considerable amount of work.
Yeah. Well, once you get all your notes in order, then Lynn can write songs about it. And,
It'll sound a lot better. It'll
oh,
lose a
much
lot
better.
of the details, but it will sound a lot better.
Yeah.
So here's a question as you're getting closer to this, and as you've got the reduced audience at this point. You've got one piece of information that is got some other sticky details around it, right? Which is this idea of this machine is a somnic filter. Like, what does that mean? But of course, how you even heard that term is tied into like the whole encounter with the siphoner queen and everything. So so with this reduced audience, is that something you would share? Because, for example, if you want the insights of Rupino, say, you know, even providing that level of detail might assist with his ability to try to understand what's going on. But obviously comes with the questions of like, so you were actually there, you talked to her, and then what, and so on.
Yeah. Um, I,
So, I mean, perhaps we can just essentially come down to it's like, so how is it that you actually came to understand about this machine and to know that you needed to assemble it? What is it supposed to do when it's complete?
it's supposed to help us change our perspective on how we view the Titan artifact known as the Pillar.
Hmm.
Um, and maybe hopefully help us neutralize it so that it becomes something different because we're seeing it differently.
Hmm.
I mean, Somnic to me makes me think of sleep, like
So, when you
insomnia.
say somnic, like what, where did that come from?
Um, the
Because,
Siphoner Queen called it that.
really,
It's unclear
Yeah.
exactly where her base of knowledge comes from. She wasn't forthcoming, but seemed to have some other inclinations.
So
Mhm.
how did it even come up? Like, what were you talking about where she mentioned it?
She had one of the pieces.
Oh. And she
And it
She-
may be by studying the device itself for a period of time, she was able to come to be more aware of its meaning,
perhaps,
or
perhaps.
through the
Um,
collective wisdom of the people that she rules over. I'm not entirely sure how that relationship works.
I mean, parts of this machine, it seems as though, like, to hear what little I've heard about it, it sounds as though it is by design something that is beyond the comprehension of mortal minds, which I find vaguely insulting, but cannot completely discredit. But if Siphoner Queen seems to know more, understand more about it, that, I mean, can't rule out entirely that she's just wrong, but I don't think that's a useful supposition, especially since we don't know anymore. Like, we don't know anything that would contradict that.
Well, I mean, she is kind of manipulative and evil. That
There's
doesn't
also a
mean she's
chance
wrong.
that the different perspective we're going to have will also make her and her people more understandable. That the perspective we have of them might also change.
I doubt it.
Well, so much of the corruption that we saw all seems to come from the pillar. I wonder if she would have motivation to stop you from interfering with what the pillar does. I mean, what if that interrupts their whole magical way? If you neutralize the pillar, do they still have their power?
I suspect if she believed that, she wouldn't have given us the peace nor come to an accord.
Why
she
did
could
she
have
give
struck
you the peace?
She wanted us to leave her alone.
essentially a non-interference.
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't speak for anyone else, but we would, I think, be requested to be advocates of a sort.
I did see that there were some. There was a group of individuals that also assisted with the fight that left thereafter. Was that her? Her
Yeah.
her people?
It does show some respect for the agreement that we have made.
Hmm.
Yeah. That one girl really hates me, and I don't know why.
The thing that I think we've come to understand, at least as far as I have heard about these siphoners, is that there can be great power, but to some extent it's an illusion because all of it is only exists to feed the hunger that is created in them. It is the hunger, it's a trap because you are a little bit hungry and so you take power to satisfy that hunger, but the more power you have taken in that way increases the amount of hunger you have. You never get to a point where you have enough power to take enough to feed the hunger because the more you take, the more you need.
It makes me wonder if in some way she is feeding on all of that
It
herself.
could also be the knowledge of the curse would motivate her to want to rid them of the curse. It would be an odd outcome, but potentially. Couldn't act against it directly on her own, but if we were to nullify the effect, it would release them from the trap.
Hmm. Did they give you any impression that that was a goal that they sought?
Not really.
Not really.
I would have been surprised if it was, only because what we have seen in our time, the people who find themselves abusing this magic that came from the pillar, these siphoners have made literal something that was always figuratively true. This desire for power. And the more you have, the more you want. It does not satisfy. And so I struggle to imagine what possible reason that the individual at the top of that pyramid would have to seek peace unless it was a perceived stepping stone to some greater threshold.
Will admit my supposition was based off of a loose assemblage of facts. It's entirely possible that they are intending an ambush at any moment. After all, we would have been the perhaps best suited to neutralize the blob's influence over the pieces of the device.
I suppose there is that, if they wanted you to take out the blob. But then again, you had made your way down into the heart of their current territory, yes?
Yeah.
Sort of. We were getting close. And then they asked us to come and have a meeting. They sent an emissary to meet with us.
I can't help but wonder if she perceived you and the blob both as separate threats, then it would certainly behoove her to have her two enemies weaken each other while she builds her power base more stably.
That does make sense.
Although she only chose to assist us during the battle.
But you agreed to leave her where she was.
Mm-hmm.
She wants us to do this thing.
Or at the very least, leave her alone. And them alone, I guess, really.
I think that's being overly optimistic, even for you.
There's little evidence to decide one way or another. I may be presuming too positive a motivation.
I'm trying to be more willing to accept the possibility of positive outcomes. It's something I'm struggling with. It has been a problem in the past, as you may recall, that my assumption that the worst case scenario must be true and therefore needs to be met on that level. Sometimes I'm right, though. I don't think this changes what we do, because the pillar is ultimately... I don't think I understand how this machine could fix it. But part of the problem with the pillar is that its nature is beyond us. It is alien to our understanding. And if a Titan has gone through, or the ghost of a Titan or the dream of a Titan has gone to some effort to give a tool to us that we can use to overcome that gap in our understanding, that seems to be a path worth investigating further, at least. But from what I hear about this Siphoner Queen, if she is like the other power-hungry individuals I have known, they will not stop unless somebody stops them. And if they reach the top of one pyramid, they will start looking for a higher one to start over on. Now, she seems pretty powerful already. I don't know what higher platform she might seek to find, but I bet she's thought of something.
I mean, the blob may have demonstrated a higher level of consumption to her in a way. My hope
So,
is at the very least this object allows us to safely move closer to the pillar and observe it, to understand it better, to see how we might change its nature or influence it. It might do much more than that, but that at least would allow us to do what no one has been able to do, like observe it safely.
Well, I
so
cannot
here's
pretend.
something.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say there's something weird that I thought of. I mentioned it a few minutes ago, but the one of her people, like she had those three general people. Like she really didn't like me, and I was experimenting with their ability,
You were?
which makes me wonder. Yeah, I was sort of messing around. I thought it was interesting. I wanted to see if I could, you know, do it and not get addicted.
Rubino's just like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I figured you of all people would totally get that.
And you didn't get addicted, right?
No, I didn't, but I could have very easily. It wasn't easy to stop doing it, but yeah.
I
So it
wish you
makes
had
me
mentioned.
wonder. I
We
did.
could have.
You
We
knew.
could have. We could have observed more closely if we'd realized the extent of that involvement.
Well, I mean, it just looked like I was doing the same stuff I normally do.
Hmm.
I was, I have that spell that I use sometimes, the vampiric touch, where I sort of, drain people's lives into myself a
Would you
little bit.
classify that as the same thing?
No, they're different, but while I was doing it, my curiosity got the better of me, and I started to sort of understand like how their magic worked. So I was able to fool around with it a little bit more. It was not. It was scary. I will say that.
It's
But
a bit like how you can't unhave an idea.
yeah, yeah, that's a good way to put it. But now that I know that, it makes me wonder. Like, I don't know if any of you noticed when we were there, but that girl, that woman that was in their group, she did not like me at all. Um, which makes me wonder why.
Do you think it might have something to do with the fact that you were able to resist, or that you were experimenting, or I don't know. Did you, I don't know, anger her cat or something?
I never
Kick
met
her
her cat.
dog? Mm.
I don't know. It's just an interesting thing that, you know, out of all of us, me, the one who was playing around with their ability, the thing that makes them special, I was the one that got sort of singled out to be,
Hmm.
glared at.
So, Zaleen, if you like, you can make an insight check.
Okay.
Thinking about this in context with other information and all.
21.
21 is pretty good. So certainly, I you feel pretty sure that there is something to this. Like it. The more you talk about it, the more it feels like it is meaningful, and that she was perhaps just failing or uninterested in concealing this feeling she was having, um, even though now it may be somewhat uh, revealing to you in the sense that perhaps there was an aspect of what she was feeling was akin to jealousy or resentment or even like defensiveness in the same way that when someone is in a relationship, they might resent even the approach of someone who might seek to be a rival. Or even someone who might seek to supplant what they are planning.
Interesting. And I will kind of share my thoughts on that, like as I'm having them, because I know that Nedra Vertigo is really good at sort of like piecing those things out.
We
And
know,
also Rupino.
we know
Rupino
absolutely
is also
nothing
really good.
about them specifically, but I don't know how one becomes the queen of the siphoners. Perhaps there's some ambition for power and you were looked at as a rival to that power. Or I find it interesting that there's similarities in some of the magics that are given to you by the Mistress of the Dark and what they do. And I'm wondering if that connection somehow, if their gift or their bargain essentially comes from that perspective.
I mean, it's very similar, but it's not. It's also not. I mean, it's not necrotic in the same way. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's interesting that I was able to just be like, you know what? I shouldn't mess with this anymore. I mean, how many of them were like, I should stop doing this? It could
Well,
become very addictive. I could see that. Like, they're going to have to set up some kind of program for people to get out of this if we find a way to stop.
and it may be impossible to refuse, or at least they always thought it was.
So
Now you present a doubt.
one thing that I'll add that you understood intuitively, Zaleen, as this, as you know, in your initial sort of, there is an aspect to which it often happens under duress, but to become a siphoner the way they are, you do kind of have to say yes to it. It does require that buy-in, but it often, for many of them, becomes an element of like, well, it's that or death.
Right. I mean,
So,
there.
yeah.
Once you start, you can't stop,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like a conscious choice that you make. But I mean, I made that conscious choice, but then I was like, eh.
Well, you did have help.
That's true. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something to think about.
Yeah.
As we, get closer to this, because I have a feeling that they are going to be more problematic than that big giant blob of evil.
So, in any case, I'm not going to be able to give you all the answers here because this is beyond any of us. But to the extent that I am able to provide insight, I believe that your goal here is a worthy one, and I will support it how I can. And I think everyone else there kind of nods and says, yes, we will.
Well, and also, this is a chance to be up close with a very extraordinary device, and I would feel rather bad if you weren't given the opportunity to be at the front lines to see it.
And Sequential's like over there is like, it's very cool.
Oh, I'm kind of scared about putting this thing together. Yeah. I mean, I kind of want to set up an anti-magic field for anybody who wants to get inside.
I mean, you know.
That
It wouldn't be a
seems
bad
like
idea
a
to take precautions.
reasonable idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna set up anti-magic field away from where they're doing it.
Okay.
And
yeah,
then-
this is good. It's like a blast shield, kind of.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right. So I think probably everyone who doesn't absolutely have to be outside of it would be in the anti-magic field.
Yeah, I'm going to help Nedry
Mm-hmm.
both with strength and also to make sure that
Buddy
you
system.
know, yeah, well, that he's not alone. He's got some help, and I'll cast Death Ward on him.
Okay.
I should still have
I'll
Death
cast
Ward.
Death Ward on Zinhorn.
Okay.
You already did, and it
I did?
lasts
Okay,
8
cool.
hours.
Yeah. Okay.
It hasn't
So-
died yet, so we're good.
Yeah.
All right. So I think everyone else is kind of huddled in the in this 10-foot, emanation. It's like it's not terribly big, but everyone who's here is able to kind of huddle together
Mhm.
in there. You've sort of settled down this the rest of the machine. Nedrigo's got the bag of holding that's got the one remaining piece in it. So you pull it out. Any other preparations?
There is a spell.
Of the creature types that are out there,
Hmm.
would I think that the siphoners are aberrations?
I'll be honest, I've waffled on this a little bit because I've been more typically approaching them like undead, but it's, as we've established, they're not technically undead in the same way that other undead that you've faced are.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like they're undead like. You know what I mean? It's like they're
Yeah.
like there's AC undead and DC undead.
Would it be possible, because I've like experimented with that, to sort of use Eyes of the Grave
To
in
what?
the
To
same way
identify
to
if someone was?
detect? Yeah, to detect if there are any
I think you could use it in that way. Yeah.
Okay, I will do that then.
Mm-hmm. I think that
Oh,
I
that will-
think that they would register like a kind of undead, even if it's
So-
just a different type of animating magic than.
What I'm considering doing is using Solomonia's gift
Mm-hmm.
to set a magic circle around the device,
Oh, okay.
specifically to prevent them from interfering.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't do anything for anybody else, but it would prevent them from entering.
Okay. Yeah.
And targeting specifically them or undead, however narrow I need to make it.
Sure.
And so this,
Yeah. I think you know what you need to. I think you know how to do that.
yeah. So the magic circle is inscribed upon the ground. Takes him about a minute to carve this out using his Periton pen to kind of scribe the runes and then follow them with probably using mage hand to actually do the scribing in the ground because he wouldn't want to get his fingers dirty. And then when he activates it, a cylinder of light kind of grows up around the area.
A little extra protection so we aren't interrupted by siphoners potentially if they're intent on this moment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have much other protections I can offer. Most of what I'm prepared to do today was to fight, honestly, which is very rare for me. But intellectually, I'm excited about the possibility of what this might do. But I must admit to you, Zinhorn, I'm a little bit nervous also about what it might do. I've had some interesting brushes with magical artifacts in the past that haven't always gone very well. But I will say, while everyone has become very close to me, you're still my dragon brother, and I'm glad you're here.
There is no place I would be, brother, except by your side.
All right, let's do this thing.
And I reach into the bag and extract
Mm-hmm.
the wheel.
Make a strength saving throw, Nedrigo.
That'll be interesting. That is a 19 with a natural 20.
Wow. So
That's 3 natural 20s for me tonight.
yeah, nice. So what that means is that as you pull it out of the bag, there is a second where it literally almost just wrenches itself right out of your hand to fly over to this machine. But at least for the moment, you are able to hold on and not just let it uncontrollably fly over and do it itself. But it's clear that there is a magical pressure trying to force it into place. But you still have maintained control over it, even if all you're going to do now is just allow it to do that. But it is still your option. It has not removed that choice from you.
Well, we can confirm that it does want to be together very vigorously.
And he'll slowly start to approach. He's going to try to see how it wants to move to better understand the device being put together.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than just let it go, he wants to kind of see how it twists and turns and
Sure.
and just trying to understand the thing more.
So one of the things that I think you find interesting in sort of experimenting with that a little is that the machine, before you were introducing this part, it seemed like you could understand, like, oh, I see where each of those other parts fits together here. I see where the new part would go. So, like, you felt like you had an understanding of what this thing would look like assembled. And yet somehow, as you sort of like move this last piece, a little bit towards it, a little bit to the side, feeling it around like that, it almost is like you're looking at some strange kind of four-dimensional shape where the whole machine takes on a completely different configuration depending on what angle you're looking at it from.
You know what they say sometimes? The whole is more than the sum of its parts. That's more than true in this case. I don't know how it came to be taken apart in a way so greatly altered.
You recall it has never been assembled.
Oh, right, right.
Kosh seeded the ideas for how to make each part separately to different individuals because any one of them couldn't hold the whole thing in their head without going insane.
This is amazing, never having been assembled before. Well, here goes everything.
Self-assembling magical thing. All right, let's try it.
I was just laughing at the idea that now that you go to move in this last piece and it turns out, oh wait, no, it's actually half an inch too long. It won't fit. 'cause,
Yeah.
We haven't shrunk
But-
down properly yet.
No, but that's not what happens though. So do you go ahead and
Yep. Yeah, he'll do it slowly or try to, but at
Yeah.
a certain point, it's going to be too strong for him.
mhm.
They got
Um,
inches and meters confused.
Yeah. So I think there is a bright light and a feeling of like a shockwave, almost like an explosion of some kind. I want both of you to make a wisdom saving throw.
Is it magic?
Yes.
21.
Doesn't matter because I rolled the same thing twice. 16.
Okay. So both of you are going to take 24 force damage just from this sort of shockwave emanating out from it. And Zinhorn, I think that you are briefly in a mindset where it feels as though time has stopped, but you're like, you feel like everything is frozen, but you can still think. You can kind of be aware of what your eyes are seeing, but somehow everything around you, including your own body, is completely still, like time has stopped in this shockwave as it has expanded out. And you look around and you see that in the wake of this blast, the place that you had chosen for this was, it's not desert, but it's a drier landscape outside of the city here. It's kind of it's not just like sand and scrub, but it's it's kind of like prairie grasses, but sort of drier. There's not a lot of trees around. There's a lot of sort of rocky formations here and there. At least that's what it looked like before. But what you're seeing in the wake of this shockwave now is this just blasted wasteland. It's not a crater. It's not... It doesn't look like if like a meteor struck or a bomb went off or anything like this. It just looks like everything that existed here was destroyed so long ago that it's just nothing now. Everything is dust. There's sort of a, like, it's not geometrically flat, but just as far as the eye can see, there's just nothing except here and there, just little swirls of dust. And you are unable to make yourself look back in the direction of where your friends were in that anti-magic field to see what happened to them. And it feels like you are in this frozen state for a long time. Nedrigo, you find yourself you experienced that same sort of flash and shockwave, and I think that you now are perceiving yourself as a disembodied mote of consciousness just floating through a void. And the overwhelming emotion that is filling you right now is that everything that you ever cared about is gone. If anything exists at all anymore, it is so alien to anything that you knew or understood that it might as well be nothing. And that all of this happened because you weren't strong enough to prevent it. And I think you too feel like you are just floating in this void. and is it hours? Is it days? You've lost any sense of even the normal flow of time is gone. What it's like, how is this this is all that's left? There isn't anything else. This is it's not even correct to call it forever, because it's not a present that will extend into the future. There is just nothing else but this. Everybody else, while watching, you certainly see this dramatic flash of light, and then you watch as both Nedrigo and Zinhorn get sort of like shoved back from this thing. They both kind of fly a couple of feet each and sort of like land on their back, and they don't move. Like they've like just collapsed, like they're unconscious. And beyond the flash and the apparent completed machine that you see, nothing else has happened as far as you can tell. But your friends are both on the ground, apparently unconscious, at least.
Evan, go
Yes,
see
ma'am.
what's going on.
Hup, 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 hup.
I can't. Like, if I go, the anti-magic field goes with me.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like, it's from me out
Mhm.
10 feet. So.
Well, you could potentially move up to have it encompass one of your friends, potentially.
Yeah, I will do that. Like, I will do that
Everyone's
with.
like creeping along, huddling together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will get close to Zinhorn, who's
Okay.
probably closest to us.
Sure.
Like, yeah, I will just go
Mm-hmm.
to Zinhorn.
So I think as you are approaching, it looks to you like he's not breathing. But as you bring him into the field, Zinhorn, suddenly you feel like every nerve ending in your body is on fire, and you have been at the bottom of the ocean for a week, and you are so desperate for breath that you've never needed anything more.
Wow.
But you are now, and the rest of you watch is like, yeah, he suddenly like jolts awake. And as you open your eyes, Zinhorn, and sort of like your mind adjusts, you see the landscape is as it was before. It's not a blasted landscape. It's not a wasteland. Your friends are there, and you are no longer frozen. But you do look over and see Nedry on the ground, and again, he's not moving, and he doesn't look like he's breathing either.
We need to get to Nedry.
I will heal you first. Because you did take damage, so I will cast.
We're in an
Look and see
anti-magic
what-
field.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you have to suffer. Sorry.
Good call, Zinhorn. I
Suffer.
think I might have not caught that right away.
Yeah, sorry, I can't help you right now.
Yeah.
I guess we
you
will
go to
like.
cast it,
I
it's
don't
just
know.
like just spits out your fingers. Nothing.
Yep.
We'll just all like Scooby Doo huddle over to
Yep.
Nedry.
Doot, 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 doot. You have everybody huddled together, having to make a gap like a Pac-Man mouth too.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the other thing that I think happens as you have to get closer to the machine itself in order to get around to where Nedry was. And I think like nothing disastrous happens, but you feel like your view of the world outside is distorted as you get closer to it, almost like somehow the machine is just warping light around it. And as long as you are not like moving to where the anti-magic field encompasses the machine. It's just this strange distortion when you get close to it, even from within the magic field, anti-magic field. But you're able to go around and get Nedry in it, which is I'm assuming that's your goal.
Yeah. Yep.
So, Nedry, in a similar way to the way that Zinhorn just woke up, you suddenly go from the experience and being utterly convinced that nothing remains in the universe at all, and the hell that is a consciousness able to perceive with nothing to perceive. But now everything returns at once. And also your body was laying there not breathing.
So a big gasp of breath. His eyes are wide open, kind of unfocused at the beginning, and then kind of starting to realize that his friends are there. His all of them are there, and kind of bolts upright with a very quizzical look on his face. And then whoever's closest by of the three of them rushes over and just hugs them, and you can hear him crying.
That was unpleasant. And I'm wondering what it means. Oh boy.
Should we take it apart again?
I'm not sure it comes apart.
Yeah, you
might be
kind of
able-
like look over and it's just sitting there. It's not doing anything. It's just sitting there now.
We might be able
I
to
hope so.
turn it off or selectively activate it, or your field here might oh boy, suppress that. That was awful. And I'm wondering if that's the perspective we're meant to understand. Oh boy.
Rupino suggests, perhaps, and I'm not pretending to completely understand this, but if the machine was meant to give you another way to look at the pillar, perhaps what you experienced was that other way to look at where we are now.
Right. Past, present, or future, I guess. Well, not present, I guess. Can we move to
And he's still kind of shaky and wavering, but trying to reinsert his intellectual part of his brain, reboot that part.
Can we move to try to encompass it to see if it can be shut down or suppressed long enough? Maybe we can disassemble a part of it, at least to put it back in its potential rather than actual, until we're
Can
closer to
certainly
the...
try.
Okay.
I don't know. Does everybody want to stay huddled in here while we do this as a group activity, or do you guys want to like step out and just checking?
Well, the other experiment that occurs to me, and although it sounds as though the experience of this machine was significantly unpleasant, but was it perhaps an ongoing effect or simply the result of the activation of the machine? Is it ongoing?
I will step outside and find out for us.
Brave man. I was just going to say that was perhaps an unethical experiment, but...
I was thinking the same thing, actually.
But Zinhorn, as you step out, nothing. It's fine.
I freeze.
Son of a bitch.
Stop
I
messing
do
around.
my best to not move, and then just like fake them out.
That's a mean joke.
Not funny.
You feel a swat on the back of
even-
your head from a mage hand. Oh, actually, I can't cast it in here. He tries.
Yeah.
Yep.
Zinhorn may find himself polymorphed into a slug.
A
But
giant
yeah,
Not
one.
so
cool, man,
like
not cool.
Isn't it supposed to be a newt?
Not a
She's not a
witch.
witch.
Okay.
also a sheep is one of the classic I'm embarrassing
yes.
you by polymorphing you. But in any case, yeah, so at least you know what you experienced before. Now it feels absolutely no different than before you. If anything, it feels more normal because before that you would still had kind of the lingering effects of the incomplete machine. Now even that appears to have been gone. You really don't feel any strange effects now at all.
All right. Well, that was really good planning on our part to make sure somebody was in an anti-magic shell, because that was excessively unpleasant.
And still shaky, but Nedry will straighten his back and walk out of the field to see if it's the same for him.
It is, meaning it's the same as Zinhorn is experiencing now, which is that there seems to be no residual effect.
It's very, very visible deep sigh of relief.
If Zinhorn
Okay.
doesn't like grab onto Nedry like when he's not paying attention, just be like, "Ah, I'm gonna be super disappointed."
Yeah, so the machine is just sitting there. It's assembled. It doesn't look quite like you thought it was going to when all the pieces fit together. Somehow just you keep sort of catching it that like as you move and look at it from a slightly different angle, it doesn't feel like it is rotating correctly in three-dimensional space somehow.
Next stage of the experiment.
Nedry was attuned to the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any sense of that attunement at all anymore?
Yeah, I mean, I think you still kind of sort of, to the extent that you can sense an attunement to something, you can still. You've
Yeah.
not lost the attunement.
Okay. So he'll approach from one side
Mm-hmm.
to watch as the anti-magic field starts to interact with it.
Yeah. Oh, so I thought you left the anti-magic field. No?
He did. He stepped out
Okay.
around the outside to
Okay, yeah.
watch from the side as it interacts.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you can't. The anti-magic field doesn't look like anything. I think what that visual distortion people were feeling is from inside the field, looking through the field at the machine.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You
It's not
don't-
emanating from the machine.
Yeah, you don't. So, like outside the field, you don't see that distortion. The
Okay.
machine does look strange in a way that's like hard for your brain to sort of accept, but you're not seeing quite the same. That particular distortion seems like it's an interaction of
Okay.
what the anti-magic field is doing. So like the way that you are seeing the machine now is disrupted by the anti-magic field, and you think that's what the distortion was.
Okay. He's going to keep an eye out, though, just to make sure if
Mhm.
there's any sign of trouble or backlash from the way it interacts, to try to shout whenever he can.
Mm-hmm. What, you're just like...
Well, as the anti-magic field starts to encompass the machine,
Oh,
if it starts to have a negative
misunderst-
reaction,
I misunderstood that the intent was for everyone to have the machine, like to try to move the field over the machine. I didn't realize that was the plan. Is that?
Yeah,
is
I
that
thought
the
that's
plan?
what we were doing too.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. So I maybe just missed that detail. I think that as you like, there is no sort of a dramatic like moment where anything obvious happens, but somehow once you've got the field, like Zaleen, once you have sort of moved close enough that you're basically right up on it, in order for the field, and I think probably everyone else is out of the field at this point.
Except Rupino.
yeah, the two of you together. I think that it stops distorting everything, right? So like in the field, it kind of just looks like an ordinary machine now while you've got the field over it. I will say that when you touch it, if you touch it, you like nothing happens, but I think that there is perhaps just a little bit of like the hairs on the back of your neck go up because you just there's this sense of incredible power now just paused for a moment, waiting to be unleashed again.
Nedra will go in and see if he can extract the wheel, because that's the one part that he's connected to.
As far as you can tell, looking at it now, you don't see how it could have ever been apart. It looks all of a piece now.
Okay. Well,
But
good,
if
good
you
column.
recall,
We've assembled the machine.
the wheel, as it is, the one that seems to have like mechanisms with which to control something. Like there's like the wheel, kind of almost a bit like a steering wheel. There's like some buttons and a lever, and but it's unclear what any of them do.
Is there any recognizable shape overall to the machine? Like, does it look like a Jeep, or does it look like a sewing machine?
So the thing is, I don't think it looks like anything coherent, meaning like you cannot look at it and understand like what its purpose is. And in fact, if anyone has ever tried to read something in a dream, you know how the words can sometimes just like move around in an unsettling way, like they're never quite the same. Like if you look at them and then look away and look back, they're not what they were. Looking at the machine kind of feels like that. It's diminished. That effect is diminished when you're in the field, but you still have a sense that's like, again, just to use the analogy of when you watch like a computer simulation of a 4-dimensional shape, it feels like what being in the anti-magic field is doing is it is forcing it to be only in the one 3-dimensional shape for now.
So we're dealing with some Lovecraftian non-Euclidean geometry here.
Oh yeah, big
yeah,
time.
yeah.
They love that for us.
Well, we'll need to study it to understand how we might be able to control, interact, point this thing. If it truly shows what is or was or might yet be in this place, I could understand where we might be able to see the island very differently. The backlash is kind of frustratingly painful, though. But that might have just been activation. A spark. Whew. I'm glad you're all
Yeah.
here, though. You really weren't. For a long time.
Too long.
Yeah.
And
It was
for
literally
everyone
just
else,
seconds
like it
for
was
us.
10 seconds, if that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were
One
barely
round of
even-
combat. So I think though that as everyone is sort of gathered around looking at this ominous machine, perhaps that is a good image for us to end tonight's session on. What next for our mostly returned to normal size heroes? What will they do with the machine? What are the siphoners up to? What will their do they need a new team name if they're accepting so many allies? I don't know where that came from. You know what? I lie. It actually came from something I'm just not actually ready to reveal yet, but that's fine. So we will, what is that all about? Well, we'll have to find out when we return next time for more adventure on So Many Levels. Not next
So
week.
Many
No,
Levels.
no stream next week, but then So Many Levels.
So many
So
days
more
until the
levels.
next so many levels.
Many levels.
Yay.